This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found on Gadget Geek show number 376, recorded on October 25th, 2018. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Average Guy.TV studios here in a blustery, kind of a rainy Bellevue, Nebraska. Mike, we saw some Seattle weather come back to us. I think we'd had a week or two of really nice weather. We got kind of spoiled, but then the rain came today.
Yeah, we had a few good days this week where it was a little bit sunny, but yeah, that cold, dreary rain. Sometimes it was even turning a little bit frozen today, I noticed. A little slushy. So it is the season, right?
Yeah, it's always good to have the moisture, but of course we're back. I think we're back to some better weather this weekend, but we post this show with the show notes and some really good show notes this week. You're going to want to go out and take a look. A lot of the things we're doing with Erin tonight all have links available to it. And we're going to actually do a special call out. You're going to want to follow that show link. So do that. Head out there. They're all posted at theaverageguy.tv. This one, if you want to find it after the fact, theaverageguy.tv/HGG376. That's really the way you can find all of them if you want to go back to an episode number available for you out there as well. Don't forget, you can join us on our mobile app. If you're ever traveling, it's the best way. I listen to the show again in the car on our own mobile app. It's just one of the things I do each week just to make sure it's sounding okay and we're doing all right and some of those kinds of things. You can get that for free, homegadgetgeeks.com on your device. There's an Android and an iPhone link. You can find it in either one of the stores. It's absolutely free for you guys. We pay a little bit for it. Our Patreon subscribers help cover that. We appreciate those that support the show on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. It's okay. Crying babies, barking dogs. It's all okay, Erin. Don't worry about it. So we appreciate those Patreon subscribers as well. Big thanks to Emily Prokop coming on last week. Story Behind Book. We broke that and launched that for her last week. I think very, very successful. If you haven't picked that up, the links will be in 375 behind you. But thanks to Emily for doing that and appreciate it. Pretty awesome book. Mike, did you get a copy?
I did. It's a fantastic. So we'll read a few of them while we're sitting around the dinner table.
Nice.
We have it sitting on our dinner table, and I'll open it up because they're perfectly the lengthwise. Why you can read one or two and learn a cool story. And so I think we do Bubblegum. Yeah, I think Bubblegum was one of the first ones we read. So I just flip open to a random page and we read it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, pretzels.
Yep.
Saltwater taffy.
There's 50, right? I think there's 50 different stories in there.
Sliced bread. I have a phrase I always say, it's more popular than sliced bread and peanut butter. And so I think she has both of those in here. Yeah. Sliced bread and peanut butter are available for you. She does crossword puzzles too, which was used to be before she started writing and podcasting. That was kind of her job. So if you haven't picked that up yet, Story Behind Book is available for you. I almost, a little inside baseball on our Facebook group this week, we put out a post. I was almost going to change the intro to the show this week. I don't know, 375. I thought maybe it's time to change it. I got some great feedback. Decided at the last, I actually rewrote all the notes that I was going to do a brand new opening, some different stuff. I was going to have Erin, I was going to have a quote from you in the very beginning, and then the music was going to play. And then I was basically going to race through the details so we could get right to it. It didn't feel good. So we're hanging out for a few minutes in the intro, and we always appreciate you listening. But I think we'll stick with it for a while. Maybe I'll just kind of tune it up. Well, I've said a couple times her name, but Erin Lawrence is back to be with us tonight. It's always one of my favorite guests to have. Erin, you're becoming a real staple, and folks are really looking forward when you're on. Welcome to Home Gadget Geeks.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me. I am always thrilled to be here and talk to you.
We will appreciate that. We have, and I should say before we get started, no, I'll save that to the end. We have a little favor to ask. Erin, your YouTube channel is at 9,550. I just checked it before we came on here. We'd love to see if we can get that to 10,000, and we'd love to see if we could get Home Gadget Geeks to do that. So I know you're probably listening in the car. You're going to write yourself a note, say, hey, Siri, do a note, or hey, Google, do whatever, just to remember to do this. But head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Erin Lawrence TV, right? youtube.com/Erin Lawrence TV. I'll have a link in the show notes if you need to go over there. Just subscribe. She makes some of the best videos, I think, on all of YouTube. And they're real, and they're honest, and they're real interesting, and you're covering Erin, it was like you're our foreign correspondent for gadgets up in Canada there. So thanks for doing that.
That means so much coming from you, Jim, because I know you're a broadcast professional too. So thank you. That's really special to hear from you.
Super good. I watch your videos. I subscribed a long time ago, so I see them coming in and watch. And I don't, there are times you don't feel the pressure to watch them all. There's sometimes you just did a Blu-ray player, and I don't have. Okay, I'm not that interested in it, but you've done some lighting. We're going to talk about that a little bit later here in the show, and you've done some great stuff. Couple reminders: techgadgetscanada.com is your website. If you want to track her down on Facebook, facebook.com/Tech Gadgets Canada. Pretty easy. Both on Twitter and Instagram at Erin LYYC. What is that LYYC stand for?
It's YYC is the airport code for Calgary. So a lot of cities will go by their airport codes, especially up here in Canada. So when I started on Twitter, I didn't know what to come up with. So I was like, Erin LYYC Calgary. And then it's funny because it's sort of broadened beyond Calgary significantly. So I've actually been considering changing it, but I don't know what I'd change it to.
And you say it in so many of your videos, right? That, that's the thing. You start doing these, and then these videos live for a long time. And
I don't know how I'd go back and be like, actually, not Erin LYYC anymore. It's Erin. Erin's gadget reviews. I don't know.
I've been Jay Collison on Twitter for the longest time, and I've thought about maybe like just doing. I've been trying to change that up a little bit, but I can't think of anything different to do it. Mike, you've been changing a lot of things recently. You've got a new channel, right? You got the Nerd Dads,
the Dad Nerd,
the Dad Nerd.
So I'm the Dad Nerd now, trying to do well, and I'm trying to differentiate just because it's kind of so it's gaming and that sort of stuff, and I kind of wanted to have a divide between my personal Twitter and like this kind of other persona I'm going to use on Twitch, right? I kind of don't really want Twitch people to know my profession or who I am or anything like that. So it's kind of more of an alter ego kind of thing for me. It was more dividing that, making a line in the sand of this is the gaming side, this is my personal stuff, especially because our work uses Twitter a bunch. So like my personal side is really a big part of my job. So I didn't want to mix the two up. But yeah, it's kind of fun though, having kind of a name out there or something different than what you normally are. For some reason, I think I actually had Mike Uyghur on Twitter, and then I changed it to Uyghur Tech, and I have never been able to go back. It says that account, if you go to the page, there's no one there. But if I try and switch it, someone.
You should report it so that they'll shut it down, and then maybe it'll free it up.
Well, there's nothing. The page doesn't even exist. If you go to twitter.com/Mike Uyghur, I don't even think anything's there. But for some reason, it still says it's unavailable. So yeah, if you play around too much, you end up losing something that you actually wanted. Yeah. So my names are all over the place.
Well, Erin, do you find with your YouTube channel, and YouTube's brutal, like it's just like you have to be ready for this. Do you find you get much kind of trolling and spam and just garbage out there that you have to ignore? Do you approve everything? Do you delete stuff? How do you do that?
I've been really selective. I did a lot of reading before I launched the channel and really wanted to be sure I understood how to manage it. So I always have comments approved. They have to get looked at before. I've been really lucky in that I don't get a lot of trolling. I get a lot of positive commentary, and that's the stuff that I try to encourage. If people put a negative comment or something rude or something sexist or something inappropriate, I just delete it. I don't even engage with it. So I've been lucky that way. I have gotten a couple of things that are inappropriate, but like I said, I don't engage with them. And other people on YouTube are pretty quick to call out somebody's misbehavior if it does crop up. So that's one of the great things about having an audience that, is there to support you, is that if something does happen to slip through, somebody's going to call it out really quickly before perhaps I even notice it.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you have a fairly core group of followers who watch every single video and comment on them, and they're your extended admins, so to speak, to make sure that the crowd kind of stays in order?
I do. I would say I have at least a handful of sort of regular viewers who will engage with me, and they always have something nice to say about the video. They'll watch almost all of them, which I really appreciate, because it's like you said, you can't you're probably not interested in all of the technology specifically, and you don't have interest in every single little gadget. But there is that core group who will watch all the videos and offer feedback or comments or just encouragement, which I just love. And I always try to, say hi to them and thank them. And I'm starting to engage with them on other platforms like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook now. So it's really nice to have those people that you can count on to give you honest but kind feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we have got a great community here, and I'll encourage folks. We've had a bunch of new people join us, and I'll just encourage folks, treat Erin as if she is just part of our community, and be really, they're just super kind. Like, I never have to worry about trolling. I just don't have those problems because we have such a great community. So make sure you get over there and join Erin in that. I was going to cover this at the end, but since Mark Robson asked in the chat room, he says, Erin, are you still modifying the van? So let's jump down to the van.
I've been excited to hear about this too. I was going to ask.
Tell us about this van. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
So my husband and I had this crazy idea for no good reason. Just one day we thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have a camper van? And we started looking at, the tiny homes and the camper van movement. And it is a movement. Make no mistake, if you've never looked into this, it is a rabbit hole that you will go down and never come out of. So we started looking at it and thought, because we're campers, we love the outdoors, we love traveling, we love road trips, we love being outside. And we've been dedicated tenters for so long. But, I guess the older you get, the more comfortable you want to be. And we also tend to now go into places that are a little bit more remote. So there's that safety concern, there's bears, there's wildlife, there's, you're basically just sleeping with, a piece of Kleenex between you and whatever's outside. So we've been thinking about, do we want to upgrade to something like an RV? And we don't like the idea of an RV because it's so big. So we thought camper van. And we had the opportunity in the spring to rent a camper van for a weekend as part of a blog that I was writing. And we just fell in love with it. So we started looking around at what kind of vans are available and which kind of van do you want, because there's all these different, do you want the Ford Transit? Do you want the Mercedes Sprinter? Do you want the Dodge Sprinter? And again, all these different camps and people who feel super strongly about their preferences. And we finally found a van that was, the price we wanted to pay in our city, in good condition. And we started stripping it out and ripping it all basically down to the metal in, I guess it would have been about May or June. And it's going slowly. It's going very slowly. But we've got a kitchen in there now. We've got a bed platform in there. We've got a little kind of dog cubby hole for our dog so that she can sleep comfortably. And we're just probably this weekend, we're going to put in some LED lights wiring. And yeah, we're going to trick it out. It's going to be kind of Canadian cottage chic with a technology twist.
A little hippie-ish, but some on the tech side.
Very chic hippie.
USB ports, kind of, right? Laptop workstation, so you can kind of work. You could be blogging on the road. I imagine you're going to want to, and this is getting pretty common now, but it wasn't a couple of years ago. Kind of the car has Wi-Fi. I mean, the van will have some Wi-Fi. Yeah. How are you planning? Are you going to use that orange thing, or what are you planning?
That's the Skyroam device that you're talking about. Yeah, it's portable Wi-Fi puck. There's a couple companies now that'll make portable Wi-Fi, but Skyroam in particular just came out with a monthly Wi-Fi plan when you're on the road. So that would be something we'd look at. But we want to be connected so that if we want to do blogging or shoot videos and upload them, that we're connected. And we also have sort of things that we're working on the side. And my husband works for himself, so we do need to be somewhat connected. So there will definitely be Wi-Fi in the van. There'll probably be a cell phone booster thingamajig that'll keep us in touch.
TV? Do any satellite TV or anything like that?
No TV.
Okay.
But, we've probably got several tablets, but
yeah.
And, with the Wi-Fi, you can stream whatever you want. So if we did want to have movie night, I'll probably put some kind of little bracket up to hold the iPad or whatever. And, if we do want to watch TV, we can just kick back and do it.
What about solar? Are you planning to throw panels on the top, or will they come out, or what are you thinking on that?
So this is my husband's specialty more than mine. I'm not smart about this stuff, but we're putting 2 solar panels on the roof, and I think they're 200. I'm probably going to screw this up and somebody can correct me, but 200 watts per panel on the roof. And then it's wired into a very large battery. It basically looks like a giant car battery in the back of the van. And then the whole thing also, I think, gets connected to the van's battery and power system so that it'll charge the fridge, it'll keep everything powered, but when the van's not running, it runs off the battery. And then in a pinch, if you need to switch it to the van battery because something's gone wrong, you still have access to all that power.
Wow. Man, that's a full featured van.
Right?
So, yeah, no
It's
kidding.
their tech van.
That is awesome.
Through the link in the chat room, it'll be in the show notes. If you want to go, Van Life, converting work van to camper van is the site that you have. Again, it's probably easier. You're kind of blogging it. Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, I've been a little lazy on that front only because the progress between demolition and now has been so slow. And to me, honestly, I go in there and I'm like, oh, we've done nothing, but we've done so much. It's just,
Right.
It doesn't look like a lot. So I really should do an update and talk about some of, the battery and the components and things that we're doing. And if all goes well and we get the LED color change, of course, remote controlled lighting in there this weekend, we should have walls going up shortly after. And then to me, it's pretty much livable. I mean, it needs some sprucing up, I guess, but we can take it on the road.
Gonna put any chairs, any additional chairs so you can, get maybe a little poker table in there or something like that.
We've got some camp chairs that we'll throw in the back, and my husband's picked out a folding table so that, if we want to just take a whole little setup outside, if the weather's nice where we want to be, that we can have that outdoor experience. We'll probably put an awning on the side. A lot of people will do that so that you can just sort of pull this big awning out the side. And you've got shade, you've got outdoor space.
Yeah.
There's there are so many crazy things people do with these vans.
Are you following YouTube channels of people because this has been my craze lately as I get in these, I'm watching 2 guys build ships. Like they're building wooden yachts. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that in my life. Not only are they building the ships, they're putting keels, like new keels in. And one of them poured their own keel. And I'm like, I didn't even know there was a keel on a ship. Like I am learning all these things. One of them is cutting the wood. The other one is actually steaming it and bending it. And so it's just fun. I imagine do you have one in particular you're kind of watching to see what they're doing?
I have a lot. And oh gosh, I should have prepared to drop some names and some props for them, because so many of these people they're so good at it and they just make it look so easy. But just anytime we sort of hit a wall about, well, how are we going to configure this little workstation? And, if we put a table in, the table's going to take up some space. So what solutions are there for like either a modular table or a table that slides in and out, maybe under the bed? And you put that stuff into Google and you'll get so many options. And I love watching people solve those problems and make it look good, and then stealing those ideas for my own van. Right on.
You almost need an IKEA for van conversions, where you can pick this stuff up and build it. Mike, what is she missing? Like if you were going to put a van together, what's got to be in there, Mike?
It's got everything. I mean, you got Wi-Fi, you've got power. I really don't know.
There'll be a barbecue. We'll have a little hibachi kit. We'll have induction cooking.
Wow. That's nice. And you're plumbing it, right? So it's going to have a sink and some kind of water.
No bathroom. We opted not to put a bathroom in.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little small van. It's not the biggest thing in the world. Kevin Schoonover says you need a kegger in there. Or a keg fridge.
Yeah.
Anyways, right.
Well, we picked out the largest fridge we could reasonably put in the van without going like home size for, the wine and the beer and the other things you need to keep in there. And of course the food.
I think I'd maybe even build in like a Bitcoin, miner in there as well. It's heat in the summer. I mean, heat in the winter.
It's not a bad option.
Right. And it could be, I was looking at the pictures. Once you got the wall stripped down, you could kind of put some, you could build the computers just right into the walls so that they're kind of in a way, and you got storage. You could fill those up with some storage arrays. And so Pretty cool. I think the other thing I might think about doing if you're going to do an awning is to get a portable TV that you could put on underneath that you'd pull out and hook on, and then you could Chromecast if you have because you'll have your own Wi-Fi.
Yes.
So you could Chromecast or whatever you decide to use right to that thing, and it would be kind of nice to just sit out there, have some popcorn, watch whatever Canadians watch. Yeah. What do Canadians watch?
Oh, we watched Jack Ryan recently.
Oh, it's a good one.
I'm totally into Bosch right now.
Okay.
Those are both Amazon Prime shows.
Are you a man in
those books? Those books are amazing too.
Oh yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Are you
series?
You a Man in the High Castle? Have you watched that? Got really popular for season 3.
I have not seen that, no, but Game of Thrones. And,
have you heard of Letterkenny?
Crown. I have heard of it. I haven't checked it out. Is it good?
Well, okay, so I want to know a Canadian's perspective because it was apparently the writer who is also the main actor in it. He tried to get this sold in LA down here and no one wanted it. So we went up to Canada and Canada put it on TV, and it's like the biggest hit with Americans because it's kind of, I don't know if the jokes are mean towards Canadians or not. I can't tell, obviously not being from there, but it's all Canadian talk. So they talk like Canadians. So it's entertaining for Americans. So it's taken off like wildfire down here. So I actually didn't know if it was popular up there or if it was one of those like weird, like there's American shows that get popular in different countries for some reason. So I didn't know what it was, but yeah, it's interesting. You'll have to check it out. Yeah, YouTube it and look at some of the main clips and you'll get a good idea for what it is. Yeah, it's one of my wife and I's kind of guilty pleasure shows. It's pretty funny.
Well, make sure you get plenty of storage in that van. And I don't mean like storage for chairs. I mean like hard drive storage. You need to like, if you're going to, that way you can take movies. I've always thought there'll be a day when my car pulls in the garage and it'll connect to the Wi-Fi and then do the download of, it'll load up all my podcasts and it'll just be part of the player. Right. And so I'm kind of anticipating that piece coming. I think it's pretty cool you got that you guys are doing this. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about gadgets. And I think the real popular topic right now has been the new Pixel 3 XL. You have always kind of been messing with those phones, and so you probably know better than anybody else what you're looking for, what works, what doesn't. So if we look at this 3 XL, tell us a little bit about. You have a video, but tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's an Android phone. It's the third iteration of the Google phones. Just came out, oh gosh, I want to say just like 2 weeks ago. So Google's kind of been improving on the phone as it's been going, adding some new features. The big draw, I guess, of the Pixel 3 and really all the Pixel phones has been the camera. It has an outstanding camera on it and a lot of really good I guess, digital features that go along with it. And anytime I've ever been anywhere, I always, like traveling wise, I've always taken that phone with me and it takes the best pictures. It takes outstanding pictures and just, they stand out against other pictures. So it's really nice that they have that really good quality camera. Of course, it does all the other things you'd expect, a smartphone to do. Has all the Google suite of apps and things like that. They've added a few new things to this phone. They brought out finally wireless charging with it, and you can actually get a special stand with it. And I know some carriers, some merchants are bundling it with the phone, but technically it is sold separately. But it's a really cool little small easel style stand, and you just lean the phone into it and it charges. And the really cool thing about it, and I'm doing some more work with this to sort of get familiar with it, but it basically turns your phone into like a Google Smart Home Hub digital assistant. So where a lot of us are buying, the Amazon Echo device or the Apple HomePod or even, the Google Home device, this kind of gives it to you on a smaller scale. So that's a really neat feature, and it looks good. The charging works really well. You've always got access to the Google Assistant, which is fun. So those are kind of, I would say, two of the major key features. They've made some other changes and renamed some other features and done some other things with the phone. So it's not, in terms of like complete redesign or huge upgrade, it's not a totally new phone, but the improvements are noticeable enough to probably make them pretty enticing for people that are Android phone lovers.
You mentioned in your post, of course, waterproof, and that's become, I think most of the newer phones have moved that direction, which is great. Wireless charging support. Mike, you just picked up some wireless charging stuff for your phone as well, right?
I've gone all wireless. Yeah, I got the Anchor branded one for my nightstand and for my desk at work and charge there. And then I have one in my car that's the stand. And as you drop it in, it starts charging and it holds your phone up as well. So it's kind of a mount and wireless charger at the same time. It's been fantastic. I actually didn't think I would like it as much. But, you know, when you're always setting your thing on a wireless charger, you really are never at a loss for battery. So it's kind of nice because I'm kind of charging most of the day anyway. So it's yet to be determined though how good that is on the battery. I know the heat from wireless charging isn't good, and then always charging it probably isn't good either. So I try and keep it off sometimes, but it's been really convenient. I was actually surprised that, you know, the older versions of the Pixel didn't have wireless charging.
Me too. It's Google's been pretty responsive and pretty smart about the way it's designing its product. So I was surprised about that too.
How do you feel about the notch? Tajoski in the chat says I can't do the notch. How do you feel? How do you? I'll ask both of you because I don't really care about the notch. I don't know why. To me, it doesn't matter. But Erin, talk about the notch.
So it is significant, but I will say this about the notch. And for those of you who can actually see our feed, I'm gonna hold it up here. But I mean, if you're using an Apple phone, it's similar, right? It's actually smaller than the one on the Apple phone, but the notch doesn't bother me in particular. I almost look at that, instead of looking at it as cutting off the top of your screen with the notch, I see it as you're getting extra real estate. So you're getting these two almost extra little forks of screen space where you can put some additional information that you don't need right in front of you on the immediate screen. So when I look at the phone, when I look at whether it's the Pixel 3 or the Apple iPhone 10, which I also have, I don't even see the notch. And I know you can free ears on the side is what other Jim says. It's like exactly what it is. But I know people don't like it and some people find it distracting, but maybe it's just because I've gotten used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. And as I was going to say, you can turn the notch off, but what that does is it shrinks the screen size.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry. It shrinks it down. So you're actually losing all of that the extra ears, if you will.
Yeah.
So I like it. I wouldn't say I like it. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. So I just find it handy.
You figured that it's the notifications and the clock can go in there, right?
Yes,
From that.
absolutely.
Mike, what about you? What do you think of the notch?
Well, for me, the notch doesn't bother me as much. I'm kind of the same way. So I have the iPhone 10, and the thing I like about the iPhone 10, it's a little bit thinner, which is it's a little bit less noticeable, but I don't notice it. The one thing I haven't liked about these newer phones though is the chin they have on them actually. So like the bottom side. So on the Pixel, I actually haven't played around with it. Does it go like your iPhone 10, goes all the way to the bottom? Is there a kind of a chin to the Pixel? Does it have a bezel on the bottom?
There is a much bigger bezel on the bottom of the phone. It's just that the screen size is kind of shrunk on it. I wouldn't say it's like bezel so much as just, I don't know why it doesn't extend all the way to the bottom. I guess the phone speaker is down there a bit. But it is bigger than what you'd get on the iPhone.
When you say chin, are you referring to the dark space on the bottom?
Yeah, on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, that dark space on the bottom. And the one thing I've noticed, so I've had two different cases on my iPhone 10, and so this is the Apple leather case, which absolutely, I mean, it is by far my favorite case I've ever had on any phone. But what I like about it is that they don't have anything along the bottom. So it's covered on the side and it stops. This smoothness right here, that kind of rounded, you don't really realize how amazing it is to not have anything stopping your thumb. When you are swiping up and you can roll over that edge, it's such a better feel than if you have your case that goes all the way to the bottom. You kind of have to roll over that bottom and then go up. So I don't know why I've been obsessed with the bottoms of phones lately, but I have been. It's been my area of focus. Ever since I got this case, I had no idea what I was missing out on. But then when I look at the chin on the other ones, I'm like, well, it doesn't go to the bottom anyway. So maybe actually, on the Pixel, it probably doesn't matter what kind of case you have because your thumb can go in that kind of that chin area and start there to swipe up.
And you can, the case that they're doing with it is they have this really great fabric wrapped case. So it's really nice. It's just nice to hold. It's not slippery, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like you're holding fabric. It's just got a really good feel to it. And they have smartly, like you said, they've just pulled the bottom of the case out around, I guess it's the charging connector, but exactly like you're saying, where your thumb would go and where you'd swipe around, there's nothing to hinder you there.
And I love that, especially because I don't know how I haven't used an Android phone in forever. But on the iPhone, obviously swiping up from the bottom is such a common gesture. That's probably the most common gesture that you're doing. You're getting back to your home screen. That is your home button. So that gesture alone, when I can roll off the bottom into the top, it just, it makes a big difference with how often you do it. It's a little thing, but trust me, if try someone else's case or take your case off, if you have a case that goes around the entire bottom, take your case off and then just like try that motion from the bottom, and don't break your phone when you take it off. But I think it's gonna go shooting out. But yeah, it's just a much different feel to do your kind of home swipe. It's weird.
I have the new Amazon phone. If you can't tell, this is the new phablet phone.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Look how no, I'm just joking. You were talking about covers. Is that a speckle cover, Erin? Is it kind of speckly or is it smooth? Or
this one is
the other one.
Oh,
the other one.
On the Pixel.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gray and white speckle, kind of like
really
a heather
good looking
gray
case.
Yeah, it's very nice, and it's got the thing I love about this case, and I wish they made them for every phone, is they've got, so the Pixel does a different color power button on the side of each phone. And what have we got here? That's the Pixel 1 was just silver. The Pixel 2 was orange, and the Pixel 3 is green. So they've added the same color button onto the case so that you don't lose that little bit of accent. And I think that's so smart and a really nice design feature.
I think on that one too, I noticed, because does the Pixel have a camera bump? So if you didn't have a case, is there a camera bump on the back? Does the camera stick out like the iPhone 10?
It does, and I'm just looking. The iPhone 10 definitely sticks out further and more. There's more that bumps out, but yeah, it does stick out just a bit.
Okay. Because that's the other thing I like about when you get a good iPhone case, obviously the ones by Apple are going to be measured perfectly, but the camera bump, it lines up right, just barely indented in. So your case still gives you a little coverage, but it makes it look like one smooth surface on the back instead of noticing that camera bump. And when you lay your phone down, you don't have the wobble that camera bump creates if you didn't have a case on it.
Totally true.
Erin, with the Pixel, with the XL, when you watch it in landscape mode and you're watching like YouTube videos, what does it do with the ears?
You know what? Let's have a look. I have not.
Tajowski was asking in the chat.
On the iPhone 10, it uses the notch space for the video, or you can double tap and it'll letterbox it and bring it in a little bit.
So yeah, it's cutting off the notch in I'm just surfing around through stuff in landscape mode, but it's basically giving me a full rectangle. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time here trying to load up a YouTube video and watching it, but I'll check that out and
interesting. We were talking about cases, and I told on the show last week, I mentioned that they're clearancing these Fire 7 tablets from Amazon. I got it for $15 from Woot, but it is slippery. Like it just wants to go flying out of your hands. And so for $9 more, I picked up a silicone kind of cover to it. And man, these things are slick. Like I really like it goes on really easy. And then it really makes these tablets usable. Like I don't know now if I would ever use a tablet without some kind of bulky, and I know this is kind of weird, I'm not putting it in my pocket, without some kind of really bulky cover on it to make it, it's just got some grooves in the back. So when you got your fingers on it, they kind of give it a place to grip. I'm
going to have to take a look at that, because I'm about to post probably tomorrow the Fire HD8 review. And it's funny that you say how slippery it is, because there's been something about it that's been bothering me. I think it's a really great product, but there's something about the touch and the feel of it, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it. And I think that's what it is. It's just, it feels like it's going to go flying out of my hands.
Yeah, no, you get these new things. My iPhone, when I got my iPhone, it was that way too. I was like cradling it out of the store because you're like, this thing will literally just fly out of my hands if I'm not careful. And so it was, again, these are, because the 7s, these are the 2015 versions that we have. They're clearancing them everywhere. So their cases are all being clearanced. So right now is a good time if you were going to get into that. Been a pretty good little tablet, but I have really appreciated kind of a silicone grippy, by the way, this camera on this thing. I know the camera on your Pixel is awesome. It is less than awesome on these. Did you find on the new one, the new Fire tablets, is it better? Pretty good camera, or are they still awful?
I think the the term I used was as good as can be expected and pretty good. I did shoot part of the review with it just so people could see it. So once it goes up, you'll be able to get a pretty good idea. But, for me, for the price of that tablet and just the basic stuff that it'll do, you aren't going to be expecting it to be shooting cinematic video, nor should you. But for what it does do and for the price you're going to be able to get it for, whether you want it for your kid or your teenager or just something to take on travels that, if it gets lost or stolen, you're not out $800. It's a great tablet. And it does have some shortcomings for sure. But again, for the price, it's a pretty great option for a lot of people. It makes it a lot more accessible.
They have a kids program, and I forget what the name of it is with these, but it comes when you turn them on. It's like, hey, do you want to register this with your kid, with your student? And you put it on in your app. And if they break these things, they'll just send you another one, which
Wow.
is
Really?
yeah, which is pretty incredible. They were like, you're in this program and you're doing this, and it's a subscription. I think it's $8 or $9 a month, whatever. But it's like insurance, and if the kids break it, they'll just ship you another one. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. These things are the cheapest. I mean, that the 3XL, Erin, how much retail? And we'll discount it about half price for the Canadian dollar.
Starts at about $9.99 Canadian, depending on whether you want the 3 or the XL, and goes up from there depending on the memory that you choose. And actually worth pointing out, someone mentioned it in the chat room that the notch is only on the XL version. If you get the Pixel 3, we'll call it regular size, you won't see that notch as well.
Okay. Yeah, seems to be on the bigger phones. Smaller ones, they're kind of, I think, still using older screens, or at least probably older dies for the screens in the way they make those. If you've tested a bunch of phones, and all the times we've talked to you, we've always talked about a phone. What if you had to choose a daily driver, a phone that you would use today? What do you think you'd pick?
I have picked the Apple iPhone 10, just because I'm so deeply into the Apple ecosystem, and I just find that it works for everything I do. With that said, I do always carry a Pixel with me. From time to time, I'll put a US SIM card in my Pixel phone, if we're traveling or going wherever. So I keep that as a travel phone. And I always want it with me for the camera, just because it is so amazing. And maybe this is a tech blogger thing, but sometimes it is handy to have two phones.
Oh, yes, I totally agree. I've thought that multiple times. Like, man, it'd be really nice if I had two, even for cameras, or for some reason when you're doing social media or need to do one thing and have another. You want to do a live stream, but still have your phone, all that sort of stuff.
I think maybe that is a tech blogger thing, but I've done that on more than one occasion where you want to do a Facebook or a YouTube live and you want to show the phone, you need another phone.
You kind of need another one. I lose the second one. If I have two, I am always leaving the second one somewhere. Every time I leave, I have to check my pockets. Like, okay, do I have both phones? We took two phones to Europe. In 2 or 3 times, I left one of the phones wherever we'd been, and I had to go back in. And my mom, who was with me, is like, "Are you ever not gonna forget?" I mean, it's bad when your mom says, "Are you?" She was 83 years old. Are you ever gonna not forget your phone? But it is handy to have the two. We've been, as a part of a community, we've been doing kind of the Fitbit a community thing. Others I've said if they wanted to join me on Fitbit, I'm using the Fitbit Alta, and it's been a good little cheap device to kind of get into Fitbit and use it. This Pixel has kind of a new digital well-being app that you kind of highlighted in there. Did you get a chance to mess with that? Is that worth it? Or is it kind of an empty ecosystem at this point?
I think it's really smart, and it's kind of eye-opening because we all think that we spend a hell of a lot less time on our phones than we actually do. So to be confronted with it in, chart and graph form, and you can't lie to your phone, and your phone's not going to lie to you, it's pretty eye-opening. So I did play around with it on the Pixel 3 XL. And, not surprisingly, I was shooting a review for it and doing a bunch of testing for the blog and stuff. So I spent I think it was 3 hours in one day on the camera, but I was taking video and shooting stuff. So I think it's really handy to have, and Apple has just brought that out as well with their new iPhones, with the new iOS,
Yeah,
and
you're seeing that
it'll
now.
do the same thing. Yeah. And I think it's so handy because, as much as our phones do everything for us and they are so important, they're those computers in our pocket and our cameras and our phones that we can take everywhere. I think you do need to unplug for a little while, whether it's a few minutes or an hour or two a day, just there's other things to entertain you.
Like what? No, I'm kidding.
Like
just
watching
name one
videos
thing.
on my tablet.
Just name one thing. This is a little scary. Actually, Saturday is my least used phone time day.
Oh.
I think for most people, the problem is my job is my phone.
Yes.
And so I'm on 24/7. Well, not really, but it was funny. Actually, I found a tech support page for Gallup this morning. I was looking through some stuff and it says, we're available 24/7. Call between 6 a.m. and I was like, guys, that's not what
24/7
means.
How long were you on your phone today, Jim?
I'm gonna have to fix that. So I'm gonna have to fix that page today. 4 let's see. It says I'm on the week. Let's look at today. 5 hours, 50 minutes.
Oh my God, this can't be right. Mine says 6 hours, 56 minutes.
Yes.
Yes. See, like if someone asked
you go
how
do
many
something
hours
else,
a day
Erin.
are you spending on your phone, I would have been like, oh, maybe an hour or two.
Yeah.
No, it's 7 hours.
I know it's a lot. Mike, what about you? It's confession time.
Mine's not loading.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Allegedly.
Wait. That was weird. I have like 4 different. Okay, one sec.
Oh, come on, Apple guy.
4
You've been
hours,
around Windows too long.
4 hours, 27 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I think we would find
that's a lot of time.
I think we're gonna find and Erin, you're right, they don't lie.
Nope.
And so I think as we look at these, the Fitbit has been I kind of knew this, but the Fitbit has been exposed to me that I don't ever sleep. And 5 hours is a good night for me. And that's not enough, right? And so it's been having the watch or having the device on all the time. Mike, I think, are you using your Apple Watch for that? Do you sleep with it? And does it track sleep for you?
I don't sleep with it. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Would you, if you wanted to track your sleep, if you felt like you weren't getting, does it do that?
Yeah, but the battery's not the best, and I don't want to have a charger at work. So I don't.
Erin, are you tracking sleep at all?
I do track sleep. I hadn't, when I initially tried the Apple Watch, you needed a third-party app to track the sleep because it wasn't doing that. And I actually haven't checked again to see if Apple Watch is doing it itself. Mike, do you know?
They still don't do it natively. No.
Okay.
But I used a third-party app actually on my phone, which worked pretty well. It kind of picks up when you set down your phone, put it on the charger, don't touch it, and then pick up any motion, picks it back up, and it kind of does it that way.
The Ulta is a really small device, right? I mean, we're talking pretty small, and I thought it was going to be. I'd use the Surface. No, that's not true. Microsoft Band. I had been a Band. In fact, I had 2 Microsoft Bands. That was a very thin, a little bit wider. The Ulta is a little bit taller, but a little bit thinner. When I first started sleeping with them, I got really I got weirded out by them. Why am I wearing something like this to bed?
Right.
As I've started getting the data back and I'm starting to do it more, it has been one of those things that I check after it syncs first thing in the morning. I'll wake up, phone will sync, watch will sync. I start looking at that time, and man, that has been eye-opening just to kind of see how poorly I do sleep. And part of it is screen time. Part of it is a choice. I get busy doing things down here, and I just want to stay up. And some of it's I don't want to go to bed. I'm just in a weird spot where it's like I don't know if I want to go to bed. Like I'm okay getting some things done. So, Erin, you had another watch you were going to show there. You'd brought one over. What do you got there?
This one's the Fitbit Versa, which is a little more like a traditional smartwatch. But to your point about Fitbits do such a good job. I'm also working on another blog right now comparing the Apple Watch to the Fitbit to the Samsung Watch, which I'm helpfully holding up for those.
Man, you had all those close by. That's awesome. Nice job.
No kidding.
my little tech woman cave here is pretty well stocked.
Like
but
it.
Fitbit, I have found consistently in terms of the accuracy, the activity tracking, the step tracking, and the sleep tracking. And we just posted a review too of the Charge 3. It is hands down, bar none, the most accurate fitness gadget smartwatch device that you can get for this information.
Yeah. I'm kind of crazy because I'm not wearing it now, but typically I have this watch on this hand and I'm wearing the Fitbit on the right hand because, well, one, I spent $250 on this thing.
Is that your Garmin?
It's a Garmin. Yeah, it's a Garmin. And it's a great little watch, not smart, but it's a great watch. And I'm not, I don't want it to sit there. I mean, I could, so I'm doing both. And so sometimes, like when I run stairs, this is not particularly good at timing. It's not really meant as a timer. When I run stairs, I want to time every single ascend. And so this does it better than anything else. So yeah, I'm one of the crazy folks that has two. The community, though, what's been really cool over the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks, Mike, we've probably been gathering folks on Fitbit. I've probably been talking about that. Jim at theaverageguy.tv if you want to join the group. It's really not a group. I become friends with you. And then on the weekends or during the week, we put out, they call them hustles, like things there's a weekly hustle or a weekend hustle. And it allows you to join from, I think, 2 to 10 people. It caps it at 10, which is great. It kind of makes it reasonable. But I have been more conscious about my steps since I've been competing with other listeners, which is really, really cool. In fact, there were some weeks I got super competitive and I went out and got 20,000 steps in at 10 o'clock at night because I didn't want to lose the challenge, right? And you start thinking that's the kind of behaviors we want, right? Those are the kind of behavioral changes that we want. Well, I'm glad that you said you like the Fitbit and all for accuracy. I'm probably going to stay a 2-watch person. I think even when this thing breaks, and maybe I have to go to an Apple Watch or something like that. Although Garmin makes really good gear. So I'm not sure this thing, I mean, the battery will probably wear out before the equipment breaks.
Well, and the new Apple Watches are out now too, Jim. The Series 4 is out with the Americans anyway get that heart. What was it? The EKG
Yeah.
app sensor thing. We don't.
I'm excited to try my wife's.
Does she have it?
She does. She has the new one. We got it for her. She had the first gen Apple Watch. So I got the Series 3 last year. She never upgraded and her battery was like nothing. So like, okay, let's just upgrade you and I have found that for me, the cellular has been the best investment I've ever made. The cellular connection on my watch, I love it. I use it all the time. I've got my AirPods so I can do calls, texts, everything. Don't need my phone right next to me. And I wanted her to have that too. So she now has that and she's excited. What's interesting to me about the tracking, you were saying you compared the fitness tracking on all 3 of them. So I have a pretty nice heart monitor that goes on my chest that I wear when I work out. And it actually connects to our gym. At our gym, we have the TVs around the gym and it connects to their system and shows your heart rate, your calories, and everything like that. What I have noticed is that between my watch and the heart rate that shows up on the TV at the gym, same exact heart rate. The heart rate is always the same. It's how they calculate the calories, I think, that is really the difference because my watch is always pretty significantly higher than what it shows up on the TV. And, I think I'm going to trust the one that goes on my chest, even though they're giving out the same reading. I guess it's just a matter of what algorithm they have to tell it, okay, if you have this heart rate for this amount of time, what does that mean? How many calories are we going to say that burns? So I don't know the math on that and how it all works out, but the Apple Watch is a little bit on the high side on when it gives you credit for what calories you have, at least compared to the only other one I have, which is the gym. So it's kind of interesting. But I was interested to see that they both had the same exact heart rate. So something that's on my wrist, I thought would have been much less accurate than the one that's strapped to my chest. And they both, I check them all the time. I'm always looking down and they're the same.
I found the Fitbit and the Apple Watch were quite similar with the heart rate measurements. And the Samsung watch was always a little bit, I think it was a little bit lower, but it was always quite different from those two.
Okay.
I don't have any kind of medical grade equipment that I'm able to test it against. So I have a definitive, like, here's what the actual heart rate is. I'm just sort of comparing them off each other. But this, we've got all these gadgets that'll do all these amazing things, right? And they're so small. It's kind of hard to believe.
The EKG is still mind-blowing to me. Like you just said, so small and something that usually takes a very expensive large machine. There's still a debate back and forth on whether it's good that all these consumers and the everyday person has access to an EKG whenever they want. But it's super cool.
Well, and the fall sensor that they put in, I was kind of
Yes.
joking the day they launched the Apple Watch Series 4 with that fall sensor and the EKG and stuff. I was like, you know what? This is going to become standard issue for seniors and
Totally.
people with mobility issues and do we call them shut-ins still? People who are, they're not getting out as much as they should. They maybe don't have that same circle of friends, but their family wants to keep an eye on them in some way. So it's amazing that you can get that watch. And, if your elderly mother, Jim, your mom might be a good example. I don't know how mobile she is, but if you had the ability to get an alert, if she fell, to me, that's just amazing and mind blowing. And so it allows us to take better care of our family and friends.
Yeah. It's the perfect implementation for AI, to be honest, where it begins to learn what they do and how they do it. And I think that those pieces are just going to get better. First implementations of it, this is something the medical community has been doing for a long time. I saw some university research probably 7 years ago where they were sewing sensors into clothing for seniors and then monitoring that they were Wi-Fi enabled. So monitoring in that way. And getting some really good and accurate results. So I bet some of that early research has gone towards, getting it on one spot on a watch would be really, really hard to get accuracy. Now they'll get better the more we do this, but I think it's super that kind of wearable. I mean, I don't think it'll be too long before we are just purchasing clothes that have sensors you could turn on for those kinds of things or whatever. Right. That gets some information for us. So yeah, I would, my dad fell Christmas Day and broke his hip. And that, 2 months later, he passed away just from, that happens so often, right? That it's the broken hip that leads to other complications. Then they just kind of give up. And so it doesn't, it's not perfect, but yeah, no, I'd love to see more of that. I come from a family with heart conditions. And I got to be really, really careful, although I eat way too many French fries. I just love French fries. I cannot stop eating them. But, and I need to be careful, right? I do none of my devices right now. The Garmin 220 has the ability to sync with a strap, but Mike, I don't like the strap. That is not comfortable for me. I don't know.
You don't like it?
No, I do not like. It feels restrictive, and I don't
even notice it for some reason.
Maybe
Jim,
I'm just a wuss.
One other thing about the heart rate, though, if you have heart issues, the Apple Watch it was doing it sort of before, but I don't think it was as on purpose. But the Series 4 again has that, it'll give you an elevated heart rate warning or a low heart rate warning. So if that's something you actually need to, if not actively keep an eye on your heart rate, and it's like, well, what is it? What's the number?
Yeah.
If it's just going to give you an alert if something is amiss, that's hugely valuable.
Yeah.
And the way it does it too is it says, hey, you've had this high really heart rate, but you haven't moved a lot recently. So so when you go on a run, you're not going to trigger it. Obviously your heart rate's going to be higher, but if I'm sitting here and man, my heart is just racing, I don't know why, it might alert you.
Yeah.
And the other thing I like about that too is they actually had a study. You had to opt into it. I can't remember how I got into it, but I did. It was with Stanford Med, I believe. And they essentially took a collection of your heart rates over time and used it to study if maybe your heart rate matched up with people who had, AFib or things like that. So, and I think now they used that Stanford study because that was around before. Now that's also happening just by default on your Series 4. It's going to be, with the EKG feature and things like that, it'll be able to maybe do those early signs of AFib, things that are kind of, they can see with an algorithm generally what those heart rates look like. But I just love to see that iteration, right? Where this was a Stanford study in the earlier generations, you opted in, they learned a lot. I'm sure they gathered, millions and millions of data points on it to build their algorithm, and now they can implement it going forward. So we just see, like you said, and this first gen of kind of the EKG, it'll only get better with time. When will they do O2 levels? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that would be a good That would be a good one, especially from a fitness standpoint too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not just good when you're sick. O2 levels when you're working out, especially for top performing athletes, is really is very important.
Or fever, temperature, body temperature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, this is the perfect candidate for AI, and in you getting your own personal machine learning data where you can start then learning about yourself and when you're at peak and when you're not. We've been talking, I've got a couple research teams at Gallup working on some stuff around coaching, and one of the things we're trying to think about is let's measure the heart rate when you go into meetings at work. Like, what's happening to your heart? Like, are you, and not from a heart's sake, but why is your heart rate going up in a bot saying, hey, I noticed every time you go in a meeting or every time you have a podcast with Mike Uyghur, your heart rate just shoots through the roof. And it's like, no, it's actually because I'm super excited about it, podcasting with Mike. It's not because I'm feeling stressed.
I just get your heart racing, Jim. It's no big
deal. You do, Mike. You do. I admit it. But there could be signs of stress, or it could lead to a conversation of like, are you, what's going on with you that's causing you this anxiety? And so there could be some really good implications of matching heart rate to meetings. What's going on during the day? Who are you talking to? Even in some of the phone conversations, if you could mine and it could understand some sentiment of what's going on in a conversation and give you some feedback about how to handle that, or, hey, we noticed your blood pressure went up, or, some of those kinds of things during those phone conversations or whatever during work. I think it can add more to it. I am super fortunate that even though I have family heart problems, I have the best blood pressure of anybody on the planet. Like, every time I go in, they're like, you're perfect. And I'm like, thank you. I work really hard at it, keeping staying fit for my age, and at least trying to be reasonable on some of those things. And so I think there's some really cool, I think actually the technology is out a little bit ahead of what we're actually using at this point. Like, I think most people have way more technology available to them than they're using, which probably wasn't the case 5 or 6 years ago. And so I think in some cases we need to kind of catch up. In the chat, Tajowski had said the Fitbit scale, and I need to get one of these scales. It would just be, and it needs to be kind of where I can just walk by it, quick way, be done. Like, it needs to know who I am, measure it, and be done. And that's the only way it's going to happen every day.
That's exactly the way it works, Jim. I've got one of those as well. And you jump on it for about 3 or 4 seconds. It gets to learn, talking about the AI, it gets to learn sort of everybody's weight and body fat measurements. So it knows who's weighing in. And if it doesn't, it goes, okay, is it this person or this person? And then it sends it right to your phone, right into the Fitbit app. It charts it all for you so you can measure it over time and stuff. Super convenient, very handy.
I think Mike Howard, you're out there in the chat room. I think he's got something like that as well. There's some various scales. I know there's some knockoff versions. You can get them as cheap as $30. I think some of the name brand. Would you know what you paid for your Fitbit scale?
I think it's around $200 or $229.
Okay. So pretty expensive.
It wasn't cheap, as far as scales go. But again, you're building all that technology into it. It actually looks really nice. It doesn't look like your typical bathroom scale. You possibly wouldn't know that's what it was, but
well, if for that kind of price, it should also, when I'm not getting weighed, it should vacuum my carpet.
Maybe
maybe we should talk to iRobot about that. If you can stand on your Roomba while it's going by and it weighs you.
Well, maybe when it's sitting in its stand, it's also doubles as a weight kind of thing. So who knows? Like always, Erin, we go longer on topics than we should. One of the really good topics, though, before we kind of wrap this thing up, was you looked at a robot window washer, which you guys have to see this, by the way. I'm going to put the link in the chat room, and it will be available in the show notes. But that's the first time I've seen that. You had some interesting thoughts on it. Tell us a little bit. How does this robot window washer? Because I'm crazy about robots, right? Yes. Robot lawnmowers. By the way, I don't think I've told you, but I'm building my own robot lawnmower. So we'll have to talk about that another time. But Yeah, it's going to be a monster. None of these weak, wimpy, like this thing can kill things. Like this, so it's going to be,
robotized tractor then.
Yeah, well, I want it to detect the ground, the voles, and just kind of wait for them, and then when they pop out, run right over the top of them.
The day this thing actually works, the day I stop being your lawyer.
Love it. It'll never work, Mike, because the task is pretty big. But
here's
Erin,
hoping.
Tell us a little bit about this robot window washer.
So this is a gadget called the Hobot, although I'm sure that's probably not how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's how I pronounced it.
Yeah.
It's a small, it's almost like a loaf of bread sized gadget with 2 wheels on the bottom. And you put little like microfiber scrubbing socks, for lack of a better term, on these little wheels. And then you hold it up to your window, you turn it on, and there's suction inside, and it generates enough suction that even with the little scrubby pads on there, it suctions to your window. And then you can either control it with an app or a remote control, or just sort of set it to do its own little cleaning cycle. And it will wash your windows for you. So it will do just kind of everything from a light dusting and just give them a once over, to you can add cleaners and glass cleaner and soap and water, vinegar, whatever you want. And it will do all the scrubbing for you. So the company that makes it contacted me, and I'm like, as if, like, give me a break. Who needs a robot window washer? This is dumb. And it arrived and I was like, well, all right, I'll give it a try. And I was actually surprised at how handy it was, particularly for those windows that they're up a little high, they're a little hard to reach. You might not be able to do a good job of them without one of those scrubby things on a stick or whatever you're going to do. So it was pretty convenient to just be able to suction it to the window, I sort of sprayed cleaner on it and then just let it do its thing. The only sort of downside of it is corded. It's not a wireless gadget. So you do have to have power nearby, or in my case, when I was doing the back side of my house, I had to run a very long extension cord from our garage. So that was kind of annoying. I think the reason why it's not totally remote operated and battery operated is because, if it were to fall and lose power or run out of battery, it's going to come flying off the window. It does come with one of those, a tether, I guess, that you can make sure it's secure. And if you're using it at any heights, of course, you would do that. As I said in my video, I was using it at some kind of height, but I elected not to. Fortunately, nothing happened. It was fine. But, the safety features are there. It's whether you choose to use them or not. But it was pretty handy for some of the windows. The other downside with it was, in some cases, particularly inside the house with those windows that are easy enough for me to clean, I felt like it almost took more time to do with the robot than it would have if I had just sort of done it with some elbow grease. But it's a super neat concept, and I can really see it, for people who do have troubles. You got to get out the ladder kind of thing, and you're hanging off the edge of it and trying to reach off to the side of the window and you're not quite getting it. It's definitely handy and probably a really safe option for people that need that. It'll also do floors. It'll also do glass and tabletops and counters and things like that if you want it to. Again, you could probably do it faster if you just did it yourself with a cloth and some soap and water. But then you wouldn't be able to tell your friends you had a robot housekeeper.
Yeah, exactly. And your arm would be a lot more sore, right?
Right.
Wax
or
on.
your muscles would be much.
Wax on, wax off.
There you go.
Wax on, wax off. Erin, it's $450.
Yeah.
Like it's a little pricey, right? I was kind of all in. I think if this was 200, I was thinking maybe like 199. I'm like in, because we are terrible about cleaning windows at the Collison house. It is terrible. And what I was kind of thinking is it'd be a great device to, while you're folding laundry or while you're vacuuming, set it on a window, let it run, do your chores, come back to it. I don't know, 10 minutes. Do you think it takes maybe 10 minutes to clean the window?
It's faster than that.
Okay.
It would probably do sort of one whole window pane in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
So it's not a long time, but just what I was trying to say about, like, if I was just going to hit it with some paper towels and some glass cleaner, I'm done it in about 15 seconds.
Yeah. But it would be interesting, like you're doing a bunch of other chores, put it on, let it run, do, fold some socks, come back, grab it, move it to the next window. It cleans on one side. So I guess in theory, you would stick it to one, do the outside, bring it back on the inside, let it clean the inside that way.
Exactly.
And that works.
You have to bring it back and forth inside.
Pretty good quality. I mean, is it better or is the same as you doing it by hand, or maybe a little worse?
It depends on the window. I found that, the outside windows are always dirtier than the inside windows. I gave it, probably more often than not 2 passes. But at the same time, if I were doing it myself, with a scrub brush or whatever, I'm still going to have to go over it twice because it's twice as dirty. So the job that it did is comparable. And I did find that it depended sometimes too on what cleaner I was using. If I was just using something like vinegar, it might take an extra pass versus if I was using, a more strong, dedicated window cleaner kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd leave mine out there for like a half an hour because it's bad. We are bad about the windows. That's just one of the things we don't clean very often, and we should probably clean those more. It's easy to. We've got those shades that are room darkening, and so when you just you're looking out the window, you're like, oh, just pull the shade down. I get it another time. Everything else is good, but
it's the equivalent of like kicking things under the couch you don't want to look at, right? It's like, I could clean it, I could just kind of not look at it.
The company that makes that also, I think, makes they make robot vacuum cleaners and some floor cleaners as well, it looks like.
I think they do, yes.
Yeah. And you tried it on the floor?
I did try it on the floor. It was a little more random and haphazard. With the window and having the window frame, it'll sort of clean it in more of a linear pattern. On the floor, it was just kind of random. It didn't do as good a job as it did on the windows on the floor. And again, I think it would. I mean, I've tried Roomba's mopping robot vacuum, or I guess it's not a vacuum; it's a robot mop, and it does a really good job. And it's a lot more methodical and a lot more linear and a lot more like it seems like it knows where it's going. This one on the floor, the Hobot, I felt like it was just kind of going until it hit something, and then it was bumping off into another direction.
Kind of Jim most days, just kind of bouncing around, whatever happens. Yeah, probably not like you would think about some of those the Roomba versions that are mapping the room or trying to at least be somewhat intelligent about its patterns.
The new one is out this week, I think.
Yeah, the 7 Plus or something like that. And the Roomba, you mean?
Yeah, and it's got the new technology that's coming out with that. I should have one into the test kitchen in the next week or so. But it's
so jealous.
People's complaint about the Roomba has been, you've got to empty the little garbage bin out of it, and it gets full really quick. And, especially if you've got it set to timers and it's cleaning while you're at home, if the bin is full, it's not going to clean or it's not going to do as good a job. So the new one, it'll dock, it empties out its own garbage bin into sort of a larger garbage that lives in the docking station, and then it goes back to work. So I'm super excited about getting hands-on with this and seeing if it is actually this smart. It also does have that room mapping capability that you're talking about. So it starts to learn through that AI its way around your house and the little nooks and crannies and the traffic patterns, I guess. I'll find out.
Yeah, there's a competing one, and I forget what it is, but its specialty is it actually gets in the corners. That's the problem with the Roomba, is that it can't get in the corners. And they're being advertised as we get in the corners, right? We're so clean, we get in the corners. It comes to a point, and so it fits, right? It fits, which is smart in some regards. You would kind of think, yeah, you might want the head of your vacuum cleaner to be square, not round. I did see that advertising. It's been all over Facebook. And maybe because I've been talking about robots, it showed up right on one of those things. I was thinking like, maybe it's time to get into the robot vacuum cleaner business, and then it's $1,000, and I was like, yeah, it's $999. So
no, it's not time yet.
I was thinking, well, maybe not in this house, and so, but it did make me think. Say it again.
Especially if you have dogs or cats. Right. I thought before I had a chance to try one, I thought it's just not something you need because you're going to clean your house, you're going to sweep it, you're going to mop it, you're going to vacuum it. But if you have pets, you know, the people out there that have pets know that you get those, you know, pet hair tumbleweeds in all the corners, like you're saying. And when the Roomba is set to just kind of go around once a day, you completely eliminate that problem, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, it actually made me think, and I'm sure there's some marketing term to this, that where I saw the $1,000 price tag, and all of a sudden $300 doesn't seem so bad. Where, you know, before when these things first came out and they were like $300 at Best Buy, and you're like, oh, I don't know, you know, it's $300 for a vacuum. I could get a, you know, fill in the blank, right? I could get one of these Sharks, or I could do, you know, whatever. So I don't know. We have a cat. The cat sheds. I'd love to have. I really need two until we get a robot that can traverse the stairs. We really need one is down there, and then we got crap all over the floor. So I don't know. I don't know. Mike, have you considered throwing a robot vacuum cleaner at the Uyghur house?
Yeah. It's because we have a dog who sheds a bunch. But actually, I didn't know this new update of dumping off the hair, because we vacuum probably every other day, and it is disgusting how much hair. Like our Shark vacuuming, that tank, we have to empty it halfway through our vacuum. So I'm like, man, that thing would probably fill up a lot. But if it goes back to its dock and empties out and would actually last for a little while, I'd be really interested.
Yeah. No, super cool. Well, Erin, we'll have to catch up with you on the vacuum cleaner when you get it. That's going to be a hot item. One more question before you go. Sorry I kept you late, but appreciate you staying around for a little bit. One more question. You've got a couple, you've been looking at the Nano Leaf kind of lighting system. Aurora, I think they were called Aurora lights. Is that right? And we don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but you've done these lighting scenarios. Are you a person that likes to have a variety of lights in the house? I'm like, if the light comes on, the light goes off, good to go. I don't worry about temperature or color or any of those kinds of things. Do you prefer it where you get kind of some control? These lights you can stick on the wall and configure, and they'll do different things. And there's a music adapter that's in your latest review. I'd encourage people to go out and take a look at that. But do you like lights and different stuff?
I love lights. I love them. The color and the color temperature of lights, it can completely change a room and an environment, I find. So I like to have, you know, incandescent lighting or warmer lighting in my house. In the summer and winter, I find that smart lighting in particular, if you set the smart lights to blue, green, or purple in the summertime when it's hot out, it helps the house to feel cooler. And similarly, in the winter, when it's freezing cold outside and snowing and icy, if the smart lights in my house are red, orange, yellow, those warmer color temperatures, I feel like it just feels warmer inside the house. I can't stand fluorescent lights. I just love having different lights around. And I've gotten addicted to just being able to tell my lights to come on and off. So to ask, you know, Siri or Google Assistant or Alexa just to turn them on or off, or to change the color. It's so convenient. And I really find in the past, I've referred to it as sort of decorating your house, but with light. So you can completely change the environment, the atmosphere, and the mood just with those lights. And, you know, when we've had people over for dinner parties or just to hang out or whatever, they always comment on the lighting and just how, you know, cozy it feels or how cool it looks in here. So I really like that aspect of smart lighting. You don't have to paint your entire room or, you know, have a fireplace to get some of that same ambiance.
No, that's cool. Mike, are you guys light aficionados? I don't know what to call it.
I mean, snobs, majority of the lights in our house are hue lights, and mainly because Hannah and I just love using Miss Amazon to control everything in our house. We have one right by our bed. She can turn off all the lights and arm our security system, and it's like perfect. So most of the lights, with the exception of our kitchen, are all hue. But no, not aficionados, I wouldn't say. We go for the cheapest, just like you, Jim, on and off. I wish we got into more of the color ones and you know, kind of had some warmth or some color things to play with. I think that'll probably be the next step. But yeah, we went for, because they're expensive.
Yeah, they are. Although it's getting cheaper, Erin. You're looking at all these all the time. Don't you think we've seen probably a pretty good drop, maybe 30 or 40% over the last couple of years on light prices?
Definitely. And a lot of them are coming bundled now where you can get, the lights and a lamp and the hub if you need it, or Amazon's Alexa, or sorry, the Echo and the Echo, sorry, the Echo Plus out of all the Echo devices has a built-in home hub now. So they're bundling it. You can find it on Amazon with some smart lights now too. So it gives you that control with the lights, and definitely the prices are coming down. And with Black Friday coming and the holidays, watch for stuff to go on sale, because I find it always does around this time of year, and it's actually a really great time of year to grab yourself some smart lights.
Glad you said Black Friday, not next week, but the 15th, the Thursday, the 15th, Mike and I are going to do a whole show around Black Friday deals. And so we'll ask folks to go to Facebook and in our Facebook group and post any deals that you have coming. Erin, I'll watch kind of your channels. And if you're announcing, because I know sometimes you announce those deals as well, if you see those kinds of things. And let's kind of gather up, and then Mike and I will kind of go through that on that Thursday night, the 15th, right before Thanksgiving. We will, Thanksgiving in the United States anyways, we will do those Black Friday deals and talk about that. Erin, thanks for coming on tonight. It's always great to have you. I always appreciate you giving us an hour and some change to,
of course, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet, to catch up. Don't forget, go out and visit all her stuff. We're trying to bump up her YouTube channel. So youtube.com/Erin Lawrence TV. If you want to go out there, track her down on Twitter and Instagram at Erin LYCC. And then you can find her website, techgadgetscanada.com. Erin, we're going to let you drop, and Mike and I will we'll send you back to your wonderful Canadian life where everything's free and paid for by the government, and all the gadgets are twice the price as they are in the United States.
Thanks again, guys. It's been my pleasure.
All right, Erin. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Take care.
As Erin drops, just a reminder too on the Fitbit challenge. Don't forget, if you want to join us on the Fitbit challenge, you can do that. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. I will put you on the list to get that done. And if you don't have a Fitbit, think about getting one. They're kind of, maybe you need to get out of the chair every once in a while. Stop listening. No, take our podcasts on the road, right, Mike?
Yeah.
And when I mean on the road, I don't mean you driving on the road. I mean you walking on the road. Some of you guys need to get some steps in. I do all the time. Listen, no judgment here. I'm just saying. I'm talking about me. Mike, even as young as you are, you got to get that exercise in.
Oh,
right?
You definitely do. And I think actually last week, or no, it was a few weeks ago, Schoonover found an app for the iPhone that will essentially take your fitness data that is provided by the watch and send it over to Fitbit.
Ooh, nice.
So I forgot about it, but I might get that and then maybe join your guys' group if I
get in the group. And remember, it's not really a group. We become friends, and then we do these challenges either on the weekends or a weekday. I send everybody a note and say, hey, who wants to join? It can take up to 10. We can do as many as we want. Not everybody every week wants to do it, and that's cool. It's all on you. You can just join us and do it that way. I was on a podcast this week. It actually just released today. The Podcast Engineering School. You'd be like, Jim, I do not want to hear. Listen, I listen to your podcast, but I don't want to hear you talk about podcasting. Well, don't worry about it. This is kind of gadgets. We're talking about podcast gadgets. So microphones, mixers, some of those kinds of things. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, or you just want better sound, like you want your conference calls to sound a little bit better. Maybe you work from home and you just want to, think about doing something different. Podcast, it's called the Podcast Engineering School. I have a link in the show notes, show 107, in case you're listening to this a couple months from now or a year from now or whatever. Go to podcastengineeringschool.com and look for episode 107. And Chris Curran, who interviewed me, is just crazy. It's the funniest interview. He is shock jock radio.
I gotta go give this a listen.
You do. It's really good. He laughs, really funny. He has Barry White sound bites.
Okay,
it's pretty great. Yeah,
and he does his sound bites live, or did you figure that out?
No, he does them live.
Really?
Yeah, he does them live.
Okay,
it's pretty great. And so you'll want to go. This is not your typical boring podcast deal. So if you've made it this far in the audio, you don't mind listening to me. If you want to hear me over there, head over to podcastengineeringschool.com. Chris is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. You'll want to listen to it. Big thanks to Erin for coming on. Erin Lawrence, she It's amazing. We just should have her every week.
Yeah, right. Just to be a third co-host.
Next week, we're back to kind of the regular schedule. Just Mike and I will have some things to talk about. In the feedback mechanism, Mike, when I sent a note out to people and I said, hey, I'm thinking of changing the intro, I got some feedback like from somebody who was like, oh, yeah, I've noticed the last couple of weeks your format's been different. Yeah, we've been interviewing people, and that's just a little bit different than we change the format when we do that. Next week, we're back to kind of the standard, or what we made the standard, conversation, news, reviews, and product updates. Just Mike and I. John Larson moved down a week, so he will be coming in on the 8th. I want to say that is that the right date? It is the 8th. And we're going to do some night sky telescope stuff. And he's printed some of his parts on 3D printers, and he's going to remote access into them. Yeah, it's going to be really good. If you're into astronomy or just nerdery around that, John Larson will be on. It's what's funny, Mike, for the longest time, we didn't have guests. And then all of a sudden they all stacked up in one big group. We always appreciate them coming on when we think of like Erin or Emily or Dwayne or Rich Hay. I still get notes about Dwayne's show the other day. He does such a good job. Both videos, Mike, got booted off YouTube because he had the NFL game playing over his shoulder. And so both of them are there. You have to, right now, if you want to watch it, live got taken down, or live got taken down. First, the recorded version got taken down, then live got taken down. Fortunately, I think the game was over by the time we went into the post show. And so I think the crypto video still works because I don't think the game was on.
But you said you obviously got it downloaded in time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can download. They don't block it.
Okay.
They don't block it.
That's the interesting part about all this stuff. It's so confusing. So the one thing I noticed was I wanted to play music on my Twitch stream. Twitch actually has a Spotify account with playlists in it. They have on SoundCloud too, that if you play that music, they have the right, like people have gone and submitted that music to Twitch. So Twitch itself does not pick it up. Well, the problem is a lot of times you take your Twitch stream, you download it and you put it on YouTube later. Well, YouTube doesn't have the right set. So YouTube will flag it. It's like, it's so hard to keep up with all this stuff and what triggers it and what doesn't. And I didn't even think about the game. So when you said that, I didn't either. So small and blurry. I didn't, know.
But it obviously clear enough.
Clear enough they would have known.
Yeah. And I could have blurred it out. I could have gone in there and blurred that section for the whole video. There was no way I was going to blur it like in sections when he was talking. And I thought about blurring it, but I was like, it's blocked. I took it, I put it in private mode. I was like, it's okay. Doesn't matter. Right. But how interesting, more interesting that YouTube has the technology to discover rebroadcast, which makes sense, right? Kind of makes sense. You're like, video is their thing, not just audio. Right. We know they can detect music, but I didn't know they were that good at detecting TV.
Well, especially when it's not in the foreground, right? Like it's in the background, the main person is a person. Like that's a really good algorithm to be able to pick up that.
They picked it to the channel. They were like, this is Fox. Because it was
game.
Thursday night. It was Thursday Night Football on Fox. Yep. And I was like, wow. That's why I didn't fight it. I was so impressed that they found it. I was just like, I'm not going to fight it. What the heck?
We'll just leave it. Wheel of cheese? I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll just put it private and I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't forget, if you want to support the show, head out to Patreon. TheAverageGuy.tv/Patreon does that. And of course, those funds go to robot lawnmowers or the Terminator. That's the name for it, by the way.
Is it really the Terminator?
Yeah. Okay. I think it got decided tonight. Somebody had said, other Jim or somebody said in chat, that sounds like a Terminator. So I think the robot lawnmower is going to become called the Terminator. That happened tonight. If you want to contribute to that and all those little bits helps just in those projects that we do, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon gets you there. Don't forget, if you want to contact us, send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Better to find us on Twitter @JCollison, here @Uyghur Tech for this, right? That's still good.
That is.
For that one, don't forget the AverageGuy.tv platform, web and media hosting powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. For more information, visit maplegrovepartners.com, and Christian's plans start as little as $10 a month for everything. And he'll do anything. So just contact him. If you want to do some web stuff, you got a domain, you want to host something new on, get a hold of Christian. he will set you up there. And then don't forget to download the app, homegadgetgeeks.com. It's free. Download it. Even if you don't use it, just have available if you're traveling, if you're out on a Thursday or you want to stream something. It is by far the best streaming app I've ever had or I've ever seen. And it's just a home gadget, puts a Home Gadget Geeks icon right on your phone. You just push it, push play, boom, you're in business. T-shirts still available, theaverageguy.tv/shirt if you want to get those. And then, Mike, I got some new HelloFresh coupons.
Oh, some more HelloFresh
ones, and a couple of you have been taking me up on it. I'll send those to you or send you the code or whatever. So get you free week. Basically, I've had some folks take me up on it at work. Real quick, and then we'll end this. So Sarah sent me a text today. She's like, "Hey, the handle's falling off the stove. We're probably going to need to get it replaced to the handle." And I'm like, "Hey, we're cooking so much. Why don't we just replace the whole stove?" So she's looking at new stoves. I may try and add a little tech in on this stove.
Are they making smart stoves now?
Yeah.
All right.
They're not great, but we'll see what we can come up with. So You never know. I definitely would not buy one with, Lady A or the Google thing. I definitely not buying one of those. But a good chance we are cooking 3, 4, 5 nights a week, and on the weekends, big time. So it's like, let's get that stove upgraded. It's time. We wore that thing out. It's been here since we got here. So a new stove is coming, all because of HelloFresh. So not really, but it's been really, really great. And so if you want to try it out, let me know. Jim at theaverageguy.tv. I've got plenty of coupons to get it. By the way, I make very little off this, guys. It's just I want to do it because it's been so. Have you done it? Did you?
Not yet. No, okay. We got distracted last week and we didn't get it ordered. And we are going to do it.
What are you doing this weekend? You around?
I am around. Hannah works though. Is the only hard part.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't have a guys' night with a few cigars.
It's true.
Yeah. What night? Saturday night?
She works Saturday during the day.
Well, let's talk offline, and we'll maybe this we gotta stop talking about it
and just do it.
I just got a whole pack of new cigars in, so we need to.
I'm down.
Yeah, we got to give it a try.
Saturday night. All right.
So we'll do that. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv live. We try to stay to about an hour and 20 minutes. I think this one will go a little bit longer. I got some things to say on crypto, so if you want to head over to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, the crypto post show will be there, and that's free. You can just have it. We'll do some crypto with that one night. We'll say goodnight, everybody.